You guys may or may not have noticed, but there are very few turbo and or twin turbo Camaro, 6th gen Camaros running around these days. And I'm going to talk about why in this latest video. We're also going to talk about what the latest complications with my car were and how we remedied them. So stick in there. We are doing that right now. What's up YouTube, Jared RedRacer video. Thanks so much for joining me for another one today, guys. If this is your first time on the channel, I'm a car vlogger, I'm a car guy. I drive a 2016 1SS twin turbo Camaro. I've named her Lola, and she's been a little bit of a pain in my butt, but I still love her. So if that sounds like something you guys would be into, please hit like, hit subscribe, and then make sure you hit the bell next to subscribe so you guys know when we have new videos. Like we talked about in the opener, guys, we were talking about twin turbos on 6th gen Camaros today, giving you guys an update on the car. A lot of the people who follow this channel follow the channel because of my twin turbo Camaro, so I felt like I needed to bring an update to you guys, keep you guys in the loop on what's been going on with the car. So we had an oil leak, and I mentioned that a little bit in one of my other videos. We had a bunch of oil on the front of the engine. It was pooling up down on the bottom, the cradle, if you will, or the aluminum subframe underneath the engine. And I actually had the low oil light come on in the car. I had been checking it and keeping oil in it, but it was getting to the point where it was leaking badly enough that we had that happen. So car went down to JDP, and I actually got a phone call from my buddy Josh, who's one of the owners down there now. And Josh just said, hey, you know, we found out, actually I think it was a text message, so I don't want to lie to you. He texted me and just said, hey, it's not the front crank seal this time, because we had put a couple of front crank seals in the car already. And because of the amount of oil that was down the front of the engine and all the oil that was in the bottom of the subframe and everything, and the fact that the engine was going low on oil, I just assumed it was going to be that front crank again. So got the car down there. Jeremy, the technician down there, who's a stud, got the car pulled apart and found out that it wasn't leaking from that front crank seal this time. We had a couple of other things going on. So real quick, let me just pop the hood and we'll show you what's going on with that. If you look, the front subframe area down there, bone dry. Front of the engine, also looking to be pretty bone dry. So what we ended up finding out, or what JDP ended up finding out for me, was that the way we had the catch can routed, and if you look now, I run the Mighty Mouse catch can, and before we were also running an Elite Engineering catch can, or the E2 can right here. And the way we had it set up, we had pushed out a front crank seal before, so they had the Elite can here, and then we were running the Mighty Mouse can here, but we were only running the Mighty Mouse can off the front of the valve cover right here, off this line and then into the can, without this line connected anywhere to put it back into the car, because we were already running a catch can, and we were just kind of using this Mighty Mouse can as a vent, because it is vented, it's got a breather, it's got like an internal check valve, so it's not sucking air in, but if there's ever too much pressure, that valve will release and let some air out. Well, because of that, it was dumping oil out of the top of this filter, and it was just getting so much of it that it was starting to collect all over the engine and then pooling up down there on that subframe. So we had an issue where that basically was causing the oil to get all over the place. Another issue we were having, we found out, and I don't know which side it was on. It may have been one on one side, a couple on the other. But they found out that we had valve seals that were going bad. So we actually were burning oil internally, and that was causing an issue, obviously, where we were eating up oil or burning up oil as well. So kind of a plethora of issues we were having that were causing my oil consumption issue. As I stated before, the car had been down for a couple of different times for crank seal issues. We'd pushed out a front crank seal twice. And that is just to add to the list of things we'd had go wrong with the car to that point. We rubbed through a brake line at one point, which all you guys know. We had burst the coupler that was connected to the turbo, very, very poorly designed by AGP. But that was one of our issues before. The driver's side, we had another coupler that came off. I don't know whose fault that was. I'm not convinced that I could blame AGP for that one or JDP. It was, you know, one of the first 6 gens in the country, and I'm now finding out it was basically, I'm in the comments down below, guys. If I'm wrong, please let me know. If you guys know somebody running these kits, I'm not trying to like lie here. I'm not trying to be cool by being the first one, but I'm pretty confident we were the first person with bottom mount twin turbos on a 6th gen Camaro that were actually out like using it and abusing it. We were taking this car running autocross, we were running road course, we were running speed stops. I went on a road rally and was racing through canyons. That's when we lost brakes because the turbos were moving around because, you know, the engine flexes and moves and the motor mounts, and it went up and it was rubbing a hole in brake lines. So, I mean, in fairness, we didn't just put twin turbos on this car and me just go drive it around, you know, make a couple little races here and there. Like, I built this car to use it, and I built this car to go beat the snot out of it. And that's what we were doing. I mean, we were out using it for what I built it for. So, in fairness, like I say, we weren't easy on the car. We were out trying to use the car. I wasn't like at event after event after event. Every time we got the car done, we would take it to an event, and it basically would break almost immediately. And then JDP would, you know, work me back into the schedule when they could, and, you know, if it eventually would go back in and get put back together just to come back out and break again. So, I mean, this whole process, guys, we are a year and a half in to the twin turbo build on this car. A lot of which has been basically downtime. I bet you I've maybe had the car when I could use it for like a total of maybe 6 or 7 weeks at this point. It came home last fall and still wasn't finished. JDP still needed to do some tuning and some stuff on it. And, you know, it basically sat through the winter. And then we got the car back home. And it just, like I say, sat under a cover. As soon as I went out to use it again, found out that, you know, and we kind of knew this going in, but the tune wasn't quite right yet. The car was going really rich, and from what I can gather on direct injected engines, you don't want them to run crazy rich. I mean, obviously you don't want to run them way lean, but running them real rich is, you know, can wash cylinder walls because it's direct injected and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. But this car has essentially been down for a year and a half since we started putting it together. And the more that I've looked around, guys, just about everybody trying to do turbos on these cars is running into the same stuff. Guitarmageddon ZL1, some of you guys probably watch his channel. His car's been fairly problematic since he went to twin turbos. They were melting a lot of stuff in the engine bay. Just, you know, they've kind of had their share of problems. I know a couple of other twin turbo guys running the AGP kit or trying to, and I know that their cars have not been right and are probably still not right, at least that I know of. So again, in the comments down below, if you guys know somebody running AGP's twin turbo kit on a 6th gen, tell them to reach out. I would love to hear their story. I would love to hear what they know about the kit or maybe the experiences they've dealt with. But this has been super problematic. You know, it's just, it seems like time after time, you know, we would run into a problem, and again, leading it to be a year and a half build on the car. The car did go back down to JDP 2 weeks ago for these issues. It was down there better part of the week, and then they got it back to me so that I could go run the Drive Road Rally. We've since have run the Drive Road Rally. That was a good almost 300 mile day. And then since then, I've also gone and done another canyon run with some of my buddies. Nothing real crazy, no real racing. More just like driving, went up and had lunch, had the wife and kids in the car. I did get to race a pretty modified Roush Mustang on the way home, and that was fun. The car did pretty well. We didn't really get to, it's hard to say if we took off at the same time, and neither one of us stayed in the gas for a real long time. But Lola was definitely breaking them off, so that was cool. So we have had chances to go stretch the legs. We have had chances to put her into boost, and so far everything seems to be awesome. I think the car is running really, really well. I am now confident and comfortable enough to the point where I'm going to start now going back into doing some of the tuning stuff. A lot of you guys that watch the channel know that we were tuning the car and taking over tuning duties. But while we were kind of having issues back and forth and I didn't really have everything ironed out, I didn't really want to get super deep into getting it tuned and then have to rechange everything. So we've kind of just been rolling with some of the other tunes we've gotten for some of the other tuners. Now we've had 3 different tuners on the car besides myself. So we're kind of just running with that for right now. But the car is home. The car is functional. And so far, no new issues. Everything seems to be okay. Since I got the car back, something else to note, my good friend Doug always told me that when he would drive behind the car, he could smell a little bit of oil. It wasn't necessarily smoking when I was driving. Once in a while, it would smoke a little, which led me to believe that it was a scavenging issue. I didn't think the scavenge pump was getting the oil back out. Actually, I'm going to turn this around and show you this. I didn't think that the scavenge pump was getting the oil out fast enough. If you look here in my oil filler cap, this line runs down and goes to the scavenge pump. You probably can't see it down there, but the scavenge pump's down there, and it routes after the car, well, while the car's running and after the car shuts off. It stays on, or should stay on. Another little plug for AGP's kit that's hot garbage. There was a relay inside of here. I'll show you. A relay in here that was designed to keep the scavenge pump running for 30 seconds after you would power the car off. and that was to continue to pull the oil out of the turbos, so that for 30 seconds it would get all or the majority of the oil out of the turbos and route it back into the oil fill cap, so the oil wasn't just sitting in the turbos when the car was shut off. This is not an issue on top mount turbos. Top mount turbos sit here, and then they obviously, because they're higher than the engine and everything else, they're gravity fed, so gravity pulls the oil out and back in, and they don't have to run a scavenge pump. But because we're bottom mount, we do have to run a scavenge pump, and that relay basically was just not working right. Sometimes it would stay on 8 seconds, sometimes it would stay on 12 seconds, but it was not staying on for the full 30 seconds. We now just have, I went to VatoZone and just put in a regular relay so that the pump actually runs all the time. It does sound like it runs stronger, so for some reason that relay just wasn't even running full power, it seemed like, to the scavenge pump. But now we're not having that issue, because I basically, after the car shuts off, and this is super annoying, it's another reason why I'm still very much frustrated, and I for a very long time, you guys know I didn't say crap about AGP. Here and there I've dropped stuff, but I'm pretty fed up. I mean, it just seems like the kit was super underthought. It's been a humongous pain for me. It's been a humongous pain for JDP. I feel like we've got most everything ironed out now, but now when I shut the car off, after the car is off, leave my foot off the brake, press and hold the key to repower everything up besides the engine, and I always let the scavenge pump run for another 30 seconds. Then I shut it off and get out of the car. So not a big deal, but it's pretty annoying that every time I shut my car off, I've got to repower everything on, or I've got to key on basically for 30 more seconds to let it pull oil. But I'll take it. The car's home. The car's running good. We are going to be able to go out and make lots more fun content, and I'm excited to have the car running and everything looking to be good so far. So I'm also excited to get into doing some of my own tuning now. I did have the startup tune in there before. It was not a super awesome startup tune. I would definitely need to make a lot of changes, but I'm excited to get started on doing all that now. But the car is home, guys. We do have oil leaks fixed. The valve seals are now replaced, and the car does not burn oil. I've been driving it a lot recently, in the last week and a half anyway, and you can smell the difference, because now my car, because there's no catalytic converters, you basically just smell exhaust. It just smells like gas now, where before you did get a little bit of an oily smell out of it. You could smell that it was burning a little bit of oil. All that time I just was under the assumption, and honestly kind of just hoping, that it was nothing more than just the scavenge pump not doing its job all the way. But come to find out, you know, we did have issues with the valves, or the valve seals, and it was burning oil all that time. So a combination of the car puking oil out of the Mighty Mouse catch can because it wasn't routed correctly, and the fact that the valve seals were letting oil in and it was burning oil that way, those two things combined were basically, resulting in the car losing / burning a lot of oil. So anyhow, those things are now ironed out. That is the update, guys. The car is back and it is good to go. I'm excited to bring you guys a bunch more videos. Please, guys, in the comments down below, let me know, again, if you guys know anyone else running turbo or twin turbo 6 gens. There seem to be very few of them out there, and the guys that are running them, they seem to be running into a lot of the same issues I am. So please, in the comments down below, let me know if you know somebody. Send them my way. Have them send me a message or whatever. Reach out to me on Instagram at RedRacer Video. Have them reach out to me on Facebook at RedRacer Video. And I'm going to wrap this up before the garbage truck comes. So thanks for watching, guys. Be on the lookout. New videos coming all the time. I'm trying a lot harder to be a daily vlogger, so keep an eye on the channel. Thanks for the support. Love you guys. Peace out.